Okay, we're gonna see how this goes because Yessy's in the other room watching TV. And Copper's over. I had to put Copper outside because he's not listening. And this isn't gonna go well if he's inside and just constantly barking at Alan the whole time. I wanted to go over how I am facilitating language learning with my 2-year-old with 3 languages: English, Spanish, and ASL. I would like to preface this with Yesenia is my first child, and I am by no means an expert at this. I'm just giving my point of view from a parenting perspective, trying to teach a language to a child, a baby. So, bear with me. This is how I went about approaching language learning with Yessie. So, from the time that she was born, she was spoken to in both Spanish and English. I had to sit down because I keep pacing back and forth and it's not good for the video. So anyway, okay, now that Copper has been quiet, we're back to spot 1 of where I was recording. So now, as I was saying, now we have the cats coming up here. You've got to be kidding me. Really? Okay, now I just had to pause it because Yessie wanted more cereal, and the cats will not leave me alone. There's 2 of them already over here trying to come bother me as I do this video. I don't know if I'm gonna ever get it finished. If you get to the end of this video, leave a comment because I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get to the end of this video. From the time that Yessie was a newborn until she was about a year old, we predominantly spoke English to her. She did have some Spanish thrown in there by her grandfather, her aunts, her dad. They're all Spanish speakers. So she was really able to be immersed in that from the beginning when she was born, when those people were around. At the time, her grandfather didn't live with us. He does now, so she gets a lot more immersion with Spanish now because that's all that's spoken throughout the day by her grandfather predominantly. Like if he speaks to her, he speaks to her in Spanish still. From the time that she was a newborn until she was a year old, she had that immersion. She had that extra help that some kids don't have when they're learning another language. Her grandfather wasn't living with us at the time, but he was still over all the time, so she heard a lot of Spanish back and forth with her grandfather, her dad, her aunt, etc. One part is having family participation and having everybody on board for teaching the child the language. One part I wanted to talk about, I was going to talk about it further on in the video, but now it just makes sense to talk about it now. You want to have everybody on board in the family or your friend group, for instance, the same page so that when the child is with them, they know what to expect, and it also helps down the line because that child will be speaking these languages eventually, so you need to make sure that they can communicate with your child. Another thing I wanted to touch base on was that you can use music early on. So like I said, from newborn stage until a year old, I was only focusing on English and Spanish, but I was predominantly focusing on English. So during that time when Yessie was a newborn to a year old and we were doing the Spanish and English, but predominantly English, we were also playing songs in Spanish, or we would read books in Spanish. We would listen to songs or read books in Spanish to kind of bridge that gap with the Spanish language when she was little. So she's not completely going without. So that leads me to my next thing. Toys are a really good learning tool to add to your arsenal. Along with the music and the reading that I was talking about, just reading books, listening to some Spanish music, toys can also be great with this, with the music aspect. And also the reading, I have a book right now actually, let me go get it. Toys can be a great learning tool if used correctly. They're great for you and your baby so that you can connect and interact with them while they're playing and while they're having fun. So I have this one right here. It is 100 words book. They have different variations of this. I think they have one in French. They have one in just English. They have the English and Spanish that I have here. Hi, Reacher. Yeah, this is the English and Spanish version. But they are really good because you can go back and forth. So this one, like for instance the animals, you can switch it back and forth and it's very fluid. So you can go from Spanish to English really quickly with this book and switch back and forth for your baby. So that's a really good option right there. And that's a little more advanced. That would, again, I would say that's for like a 2-3-year-old. Her question in one language, and then I'll see if she'll respond in the different language. Like when we're playing with this, and say this is in Spanish, I'll ask her a question in English, and she'll respond in Spanish, and vice versa. And it's really good for that. This video is going to be so off topic. Every time that I start going on one of my points, like the baby or the cat's walking, and here she is now again. Okay, so I've talked a lot about the languages that Yessie is learning, English and Spanish, but I haven't really talked about the ASL aspect of that. So she is learning ASL. She did pick up on ASL, I would say, when she was like a year and some change old. We started teaching her from a year until now, which she's 2. She's picking up on it quite rapidly. She can sign more, eat, drink, water, me, I, etc. So the way that I taught Yessie ASL was I have reading material and I have posters. We have posters hung up in her room. I just used posters and reading material when I was teaching Yessie ASL in the beginning. Those posters would hang above her diaper changing station, so she would see them every time that we went in there to change her diaper. This was really good because she picked up on things very easily. She loves that poster. It's one of her favorite things in her room. And unfortunately it just fell down, so I have to put it back up. But it's a very good tool. They have them on Amazon. They are just ASL sign language posters. I actually got mine at a flea market that is nearby our house. And they have like all these different posters, and I seen those when I was pregnant, and I was like, I have to get them because I intended on teaching her ASL, so that's what I did. So let's see. Okay, I've went over the toys, I've went over reading material, you know, I've went over like having your family involved. That's all really good things. Now, the last thing that I'm going to put on here, because I know it is controversial for some parents, and some parents do not like this at all. I was one of those parents that did not think I was going to have my daughter watching television, especially at such a young age, but things happen and you need to get stuff done in the house, and I would not be making this video if it was not for television, because that's what Yessie is doing right now, is giving me a break so that I can make this video. I use TV to my advantage with Yessie, and I know that some parents, they don't like that. They don't want their child being exposed to TV, or they don't think it's helpful. You know, even the learning things, they don't think it's helpful. Me, I was like that before I had my daughter. Now I think that certain TV shows are okay, and that's what I will show her. I vet these TV shows. I don't just let her watch whatever. It's all TV shows that I've personally looked at and made sure they're okay for her to watch. But the beneficial thing about TV shows is that since, you know, we live in the age of YouTube over here, we live in the age of YouTube where you can watch TV from across the world. You can watch TV from literally anywhere. So she gets to watch English channels, Spanish channels, ASL channels, just random learning channels, and things like that. And then, you know, if she ever wanted to learn another language, there's other channels on there that I could put on for her. It's great. Yeah, I think that has accelerated her learning, her word count, because recently, you know, we had went to the doctor and they were really concerned because she wasn't speaking, and she wasn't speaking the proper amount of words for her age range. So they were getting a little concerned, and you know, we had an evaluation, everything was fine. I also have to take into account that I do sit there sometimes and watch these TV shows with her. Why, are you asking? You know, why me, an adult, watching these young kids' TV shows? Well, it's because I sit there and she'll, you know, see something on the TV and we'll go over it. And then I'll implement that, whatever we just went over, I'll try and put that into the next day. So like when we're out and about and we see this object or whatever like that, go back and say it in that language, either in ASL or in Spanish or English. So it's really helpful. I think TV is helpful. If you like this video and you thought it helped, maybe I will put up some other videos like this, because I have you know, a bit to say about parenting, and I like it. I like parenting. It's, you know, it's my first kid, and it's a little hard, but it's not like what people said it would be. I think it's fun. I've been doing the podcast because everything's been everywhere, so yeah, I will talk to you guys later. Have fun. Say bye, yes.
Bye.
Bye.